and welcome to the 425 podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Maines. I'll be with you for about half an hour today. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like, the subscribe button if you haven't done it. We appreciate that. Kind of the only way that we get our voice out there and help each other out is to kind of like and subscribe to our channels, help each other out in a grassroots movement that can maybe in some small way create this big movement that can really change what is put out there by social media and what is consumed by the audience, and kind of one way that we can fight against misinformation or against this machine that's kind of developed against what we feel is true. So the 425 podcast, relatively new to the podcast world. We did make a video of who we are and what we stand for. If you haven't checked that video out, please go ahead and check that out. It's kind of a wrap up of what we feel is important. The cheat sheet behind it is that we believe that our government should be smaller. We believe that conservatism is good. We believe our faith is in God, and we are Christians, and we're unapologetic about it. We're not ashamed of it at all. And what we believe in is something that we wear proudly and something that we walk with on a daily basis. Like I said, I'm your host. My name is Andrew Maines, and let's get into some topics. So today we're going to be talking about domestic issues. Obviously, if you're not living under a rock, you know that the last week has been a whirlwind in our country. Things have been changing, in our opinion, for the best. Every single thing that's been gone through right now, I feel like has been directly ordained by God in a way to kind of save our country from a path that we were on. Definitely the path that our country was on was one that was unsustainable. It's one that didn't have a good future, that would have torn up the Constitution and everything that our country was built for. It would have destroyed it with another administration with that same thought process, or another administration that didn't value the founding fathers and their opinions and their voices and what they dictated into paper all those years ago. So we start off by the inauguration, and everybody's coming up to the inauguration not knowing really what to expect from Trump. Obviously, Trump, I feel he had a lot of missteps on his first, when he was 45, when he was first getting in there. And I think he just trusted that our system was a little bit less corrupt than what it actually is. I think he trusted that things were put in place to keep everything kind of straight and narrow, and that he could just come in and kind of facilitate more of the business side of our country, but that our country stood for something that was really clean and pure. And I think he realized in his first run that unfortunately it's not. And our country has been corrupted by a mindset, by an ideology that has gone far beyond the political spectrum, and has gone really into more of a societal and even into a spiritual world. So we think that there's things at play here that have really dictated a lot of changes. So whenever he gets inaugurated, we're sitting here watching with bated breath thinking, okay, well, if he comes in like last time, it's going to take him a while to get the wheels moving. It's going to take him a while to get things going. He's going to trust people maybe that came in from the previous administration, which obviously, we don't think that any of those people should be left behind to do anything, because of the corruption that was just intertwined with every aspect of that. So inauguration comes in, and right off the bat, Trump comes in and says, there's only two genders. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So if this is the case, then we're not shying away from anything. And he proceeds to talk in his main inauguration speech. He didn't wait for the private one in the background with more of his supporters. He didn't wait for the one that's a little bit more private with more conservatism and more Republican-leaning situation. No, he did it right in front of everybody, kind of unashamed, saying, hey, what you guys did to this country is not accepted by the country, and that ideology has to die today. I think that our election spoke volumes. Whenever you see that red wave that we took over, every single swing state was converted over to red, and everything that's going on, you really see, okay, our country has spoken. And all of us that were kind of sitting in the background wondering, is our country savable? Is the American dream, is the American thought process dead? Are we one of the few that are sitting here wondering, are we ever going to be something that we can actually be proud of again? Are we ever going to be something that I'm proud to say I'm an American? Or are those times just dead and gone, and we're going to be the minority until who knows what happens? So he says that, and obviously I'm celebrating because it's something that we believe. I mean, that's an ideology that that although it shouldn't be big news because it sounds like common sense, it's not. And our country has struggled with this ideology and has been poisoned by it for years. And it's not only that it cuts like a knife because it separates our country. And it's like the old adage, a house divided cannot stand. So how long are we going to let these ideologies that obviously, in my perspective, are directly from the enemy, slice our country into two factions? It's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's nothing about that. It's something that back in the day, whenever you go back generationally, everybody would agree that there's only two genders. And it sounds so simple, but when he said that, I feel like that was an eye-opening experience. That he said, I don't care what mainstream media or what Hollywood has said I have to say. I'm here for what's right. And as for me, huge celebration happened at that moment. I'm like, okay, if he's going to go that hard right off the bat, what's next? And well, he did not disappoint, I'll tell you. So he went right from there. I mean, in the first few days, he's made so many executive orders, more than any other president in this amount of time. And it sounds like, well, that's not good because is he abusing his power? No, it took that many executive orders just to right the ship. I mean, he didn't do one extra move that wasn't in order, that wasn't in an effort to just get us back to somewhere of, I'm not even going to say prosperity or anything like that, because we're still seeing the fruits of that happen on a daily basis. It's just a point of sanity, a point that says, hey, our country wasn't founded for this. We weren't created to be another one of these, another failed society. We were called to be greater than that. We were called to be free. So then Trump comes around, he pardons January 6th, all the people that have to do with that, what people in their left have called the worst day, which is, honestly, anybody who ever said that, nobody should ever listen to anybody that said that was the worst time. And we've gone through so many bad times in this country. And to compare January 6th, which is, like a lot of people have said, a guided tour of Washington, pretty much, of the Capitol. I mean, they only feel that way because a lot of people and when it comes to Washington, D.C. and those elites that have forgotten what it is to be a member of society and think that they just need all the power, they forgot what it is to be normal, in my opinion. So then they get through there and they're calling it a travesty and they're calling all this and they're issuing sentences to people whenever now it's known that government officials let them in and all that stuff. Even media people that I follow, people that I like from different news sources, and they're all being punished, but not equally. Depending what news organization you represent, you get judged differently. You get different sentences. You get different treatment. You get different judges. Well, now we're being not only politicized into a certain way, but now the judicial system is being used as a weapon against Americans. That's not what that system was created for. Quite the opposite. It wasn't supposed to be a tool or a weapon for the government to use against its people. It was supposed to be something that was created to ensure that we all received equal rights. Now, if you have a certain party affiliation, well, you're treated differently. If you have a different mindset, you're treated differently. You have a different faith, you're treated differently. That's not what that branch, or that's not what anything in our country was ever created for. Our country, although it had a rocky beginning, obviously nobody's here to deny slavery or anything like that. Obviously, those are times that happen, but newsflash is that happened in every corner of the world. And the actual part to celebrate is that America is one of the first and one of the few that stand up against every type of slavery. But that only happens whenever our freedoms are appreciated, and whenever they're celebrated, whenever they're propped up, and whenever they're known to be one of the most important things in our society. So after he finished that, and then he comes over, and there's another one that's big to me, and a lot of people didn't know this because I feel like it was kind of brushed under the rug, and maybe it's because of my faith, or maybe it's because God allowed me to have an open eye to it, but there's something that was enacted a while ago, and it's called the FACE Act. It's a Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, and that was solely, in my opinion, created to be able to punish certain people. It was a biased law that went into place to really hone in and try to target a specific person. Well, this one, 23 people were just pardoned, one of which was Bevelyn Williams from my home state of Tennessee. And the reason that she was pardoned, the reason that they were all pardoned, the reason that they went to jail, some of which, like Bevelyn, was given a sentence of 41 months. Now, I don't have to rewind the tape too much to think about all the riots that happened a few years ago, and I don't remember any sentences being levied, issued, everybody pretty much got a slap on the wrist at worst. Most of them didn't get anything. Cities burned, police departments destroyed, officers scared to go to work and protect society, protect civilians. But nobody got any sentences. However, 23 Americans who stood outside of an abortion clinic and sung songs of praise and worship to their God, well, that's unacceptable. And our judicial system rallied to issue sentences 41 months for Beverland, worse for some other ones out of New York City. Well, first of all, I do got to give it to the previous administration that although they didn't do much and they sat on their hands whenever it came to our freedoms, they were able to group together two of our freedoms and trample on both of them at the same time. We have the freedom of speech. If I want to sit outside and I want to sing praises to my God, I should be allowed to. And the founding fathers agreed with me. And they also agreed that my religion and my faith is mine. And I can share it with the people I want to share it with. And there's nothing wrong with that because we have the freedom of religion. Now, people, whenever they gave us those rights, it wasn't because they were just picking random things. It's because these are things that they struggled with. And this is a reason why our country was founded. Because they knew that if they can shut people up, it's easier for the government to trample on everything else. So whenever that's the first right that they gave us, is because they knew that speech is the most important. And the second of which is the right to bear arms, which in the future I definitely want to do a special about what it means and what is the Second Amendment and why it's so important. People think, oh, it's just because people want to go shoot guns and have, no, it's because it's what's required to keep the government at bay. The government, we don't need to fear our government. The government should fear our opinion. And they should know that if they go too far, we're here to defend ourselves because that's what the founding fathers intended that for. Anyway, so he keeps on going, and now he goes over to more worldwide things. He pulled us out of the World Health Organization. Well, people are like, oh my gosh, why would he do that? Well, honestly, it's because it doesn't work. So we contribute 18% to this almost $7 billion budget. Yeah, that's B. That's with a B. People have almost forgot that there is a whole subsection there called millions because everything with the government seems to now be billions. We left millions behind in the 90s, I guess, and it wasn't cool anymore. So now everything has to be billions. Well, first of all, they're a hard bias on what they believe and who they cater to. They cater to a certain party. In whatever country, they cater to the more liberal-leaning party. Why? Because they want to ensure that their money is secure. But yet, they don't help equally. So we contribute 18% of the almost $17 billion budget, but yet the research that they do doesn't really have any direct correlation to anything they've done. And honestly, a lot of times whenever they stick their hand in things like COVID or other things, it honestly doesn't go well. And the representation that we have isn't adequate to the amount of money that we put into that. So here's what I say. You know what? I'm glad we got out of it. If we see that it's a need, it's something that really we have to study more. And then how about we create an American organization that can go into that and do those kind of tests and everything and pull it back from the worldwide scale. If we're going to do something, not that I'm anti-internationalism or that, but you know what? We live in the best country in the world. I firmly believe that, and that's why I'm here. So if I believe that, then I believe that we can do anything better than most. And if we can, and then let's keep all of the funds here. Let's help out. Let's create vaccines. Let's do whatever we need to do the correct way. And then we share our findings with the rest of the world. See, a strong America is a strong world. When we get weak, and the proof is in the last 4 years, when America got weak with the party that was leading it, you saw what happened to the rest of the world. Almost the entire world was about to go at war. Russia versus Ukraine, Taiwan had issues, North Korea had issues. Everybody's fighting everybody. Why? Because there's nobody, not that we need to be the oversight, but a strong America ensures that people step differently. We need to levy the benefit of having such a wide open market and to levy the power that the American people with our dollar and with what we do has over the rest of the world. If not, what's the point of having it? If we're going to mismanage the power that we've been given, and then everything is going to go to crap, and that's kind of what we've sat at for the last 4 years. The next thing he moved on to was the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, people are going to disagree with me left and right, and I completely understand whenever people say we need to save the planet, and I understand the need for it. I do. And whenever possible, let's go ahead and let's be conscious of what it means to be environmentally friendly. But here's the thing. Whenever your environmental needs are directly in contradiction with what people need, and then what are you doing? Who are you saving the planet for if not for us? If not for the human species, this experiment that we got going on. So then if the Paris Climate Agreement is choking so much that it's crippling economies, and it's all in the name of emissions, and then what are we doing? And further than that, if there are other countries in the world that are at the same level of emission control and carbon footprint as we are, and then what's the point? Because we all share the air. So even if we want to turn into a carbon neutral, zero emission country worldwide, it doesn't matter. And if by the sacrifice of us becoming zero emission or carbon neutral, we kill our own economy, we stifle our economy and our production and our American will and drive to create, just to send every single one of our dollars to another country like China, who doesn't really care as much about the emission or the carbon footprint, as long as they're the number one producer in the world of whatever it is, whether it be tech, vehicles, whatever it is, they just want to produce the most of it. And if it hurts them emissions or carbon, they don't really care. But yet we sit over here killing our American people, our American manufacturing, our American labor force. We kill it in the name of what? Zero emissions? But yet you travel to other countries and it doesn't really matter. So then if the world isn't going to come together to do it, and then we need to stop making it a priority for us, and we need to make our economy and our American people that are struggling to go to the grocery store every single day, we need to make it easier for them to get around. Maybe by sacrificing a little bit, yes, but in the long run, whenever the American ingenuity has the proper setting to spawn and create new things, we'll get there. So let's focus money and energy and everything on creating alternative energy sources. But until we got it, let's use what we have. Like President Trump says, dig, dig, dig. The stuff underneath us, drill, drill, drill. All of that is because we're sitting on liquid gold that will make our economy boom and make it easier for everybody. Everybody's, well, gas prices aren't too crazy. Well, how does the trip to the grocery store feel? Do you think that that's affected because the trucks that get all the groceries, they have to spend more money on fuel? On all these other emission controls? And if you don't drive a diesel vehicle, then go find out what DEF is and how it kills the diesel industry, because not only does it require another tank that you got to fill up other than diesel, it also makes the maintenance cost through the roof. And who pays that? You think the truck driver has the money just to pay that out of his pocket? No, he has to pass along those costs. And all of those costs accumulate to having higher prices in the grocery store and across the board with everything that we do. Why vehicles are so expensive, why tires are so expensive, but then you can go buy a Chinese tire for less. Why? Because it was produced in a carbon emitting factory, where over here we have them limited or choked out. It's about time that we focus inward on saying we are here to establish an America that is strong, financially stable, with an American people that can be successful, succeed at whatever they're doing, become more energy independent from the rest of the world, dare I say become a producer of energy for the rest of the world, so that way we can control more of how it's produced. So then after that, President Trump did a lot of things. Now, he went into a lot of executive orders like I talked about before, and all of those executive orders I think are all amazing. I haven't found one yet that I've read about that I'm like, ooh, I don't know why he did that. So far, I like that he's gone in and he's pretty much dismantled the DEI system that we have in place for most of our government. Listen, we tried for decades back in the 50s and 60s and 70s for people to be hired based on their merit, their qualifications, and how good they can do something. But then in the last 4 years, we took that apart, we dismantled it, and we said that you're going to be hired based on your insert here. Whether it's your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, or whatever it is, now that gets you a place at the table, even though you weren't the most qualified. Listen, when it comes to other things and you want to play those games in the private sector with whatever it is, that's on you because it's your company. You can make whatever choices that you want. But when you come to the government, you are funded by our money, and I want to make sure that any dollar that I send to the government is represented by the absolute best person to do that job. Whether it be a mechanic or whether it be a general, whether it be the leader of the Coast Guard that got fired because effectively she wasn't the best at her job, and she was taking funds away from things that protect our soldiers, protect those in the armed forces and giving it to what? To programs that really don't matter. If you're in the military and everything, you want the person next to you to be equally qualified to make sure that whenever you run into battle, you know that the person next to you can do exactly what you can do. And just because they have a certain sexual orientation or ethnicity, it doesn't make it better when you're on the battlefield. It doesn't justify the failure of whatever we're doing just because of that. Whatever you want to do, whatever if you have a different orientation or whatever you do, that's fine. That's your decision. But when it comes to meeting certain parameters, that should be across the board with everybody. So whenever he got to the DEI stuff, I really honed in because I was nervous that, like most other people in our country, really, he was going to shy away from things that aren't very popular. And he didn't shy away at all. He made decisions that cut like a knife and separated the wheat from the chaff. He had the next one is that he went into immigration. Now I am actually Hispanic, and my family we're immigrants. My family came here from Cuba after socialism in the 60s. That doesn't affect my opinion at all. In fact, it makes my opinion even stronger. If my family took the time to come from a socialist nation that was in real bad decay in the 60s, and we still waited our turn, and we made sure not to become a criminal. You don't have to wait. If you come to this country illegally, you don't have to break a law when you get here to become a criminal. You broke a law by crossing here illegally. You are already a criminal. It's the actual inception of the word. You broke a law to get here. You are a criminal. And it's unfortunate to think that because some of them are great people. But that doesn't affect the fact that you didn't wait your turn. You didn't wait to make sure that you're properly vetted and to do everything the way that the American system. And newsflash, the rest of the world does mostly the same thing. All we're asking to do is just to make sure that we know who comes into our country. Make sure that they're here to make our country a better place. Make sure that whenever they're around, it's not a danger to somebody else. That's all we want. So he got Tom Homan in there, and he has done amazing things with ICE. Already deported all of the ones that were violent offenders and criminals and people that were in this country not to make this country better. They were here just to collect money or steal or cheat or do anything like that. And now we ensured that we've made our streets safer. And slowly, yes, it's going to be a slow process because it's a larger, and especially in the last 4 years, our immigration, our borders have been ridiculously dismantled and weakened over the last 4 years. And it's going to take a second to get it back. But now we have a goal. Now we have somebody actually working to make changes that can affect everybody's life. He's working with partners and he's creating partners. He just created, unfortunately, through not necessarily the best situation, but he created a partner in Colombia and how to get people back to their home in Colombia. Yes, it wasn't through the best of situations because Colombia had a little bit of a different opinion, but ultimately the people that we were sending to them came from there. And they're just going back home is all we're saying. We're not sending them somewhere different. So I think it's super important that as we look at this process, and sometimes it can be heart-wrenching, realize that what we have done to our border is not fair to the rest of the people. And it's not even fair to the people that are using that system. There's so much abuse, slavery, sex crimes, everything that happens at the border due to coyotes and cartels. Trump has labeled cartels as a terrorist organization. Why has it taken so long for that to happen? They're an organization that only succeeds whenever bad things happen, whether it be murder, whether it be drugs, whether it be slavery, whether it be sex crimes, whatever it is, they only succeed when something bad happens. I've never heard of a cartel being a humanitarian organization, just helping out because they want to help out, because they're a bleeding heart. No. Like in my faith, they're here to lie, cheat, destroy. It's what they're here for. And so many thousands, hundreds of thousands, who knows if it even made it to the millions, have been affected negatively at the border because they thought they were hiring a coyote to do something to bring them into this country. And instead, they ended up in a very, very bad situation, whether it be sold into slavery, whether it be, and there's so many crimes that happen that is just absolutely sick that us as a country and our leadership has looked at that and said that the best thing for these people that are in desperate situations is to give them the illusion that they're coming here with freedom to only be sold a crock of lies by the cartels. And now they're in a worse situation here, separating families, killing families, killing family members, everything in the name of a dollar, of money. It's about time that we change as a country and we unify in the same mentality, which is just what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And just like the only two genders, there's only two. There's only right and there's only wrong. There's only truth and there's only lie. There's not your truth and his truth and their truth. It's just the truth. As inconvenient as it may be at times, that's all we have. Now, President Trump has done a lot of other things that I have been so proud. I mean, dare I say, it's been 4 years since I've been so proud to be an American. He showed up in North Carolina to be there, shake hands, and let the people of North Carolina that I've witnessed some of it. It's not very far from where I currently live, that I've been able to go over there and see the damage that Helene did to that area. And it's not just about you lost your house. There's areas where the city is gone. Roadways to get to places are gone. Homes, yes, they were destroyed as expected whenever something was that bad. He got put boots on the ground. Him and Vance got their boots on the ground, shaking hands and letting the people of that area know the American government has not forgot about you. You're not alone in this fight. I think that spoke so many volumes for the heart that he has. The heart that he has, that in the middle of all this political landscape that he's in the middle of, and all these, he's dealing with so many different issues. He knew that it was important to go let those people know that although it's been months and you're sleeping in tents and you're cold because the weather has been crazy and very cold, your president is here for you. I don't care if you live in a shack up at the top of the mountain, your president is here for you. Or I don't care if you live in a mansion, like right now going on in California. You have the two extremes. You have people that live in the mountains of North Carolina to people that live in the mansions of California. And our president made sure, and our vice president too, because there's going to be a lot of talk about Vance and how I love a lot of the stuff that he stands for and his background and where he came from and the true American success story that J.D. Vance really is. But for right now, focusing on Trump, he took the time out of everything that he's doing to visit the backwoods of North Carolina and the main streets of California to let everybody know that although your local, your state, and your federal government has abandoned you for this time, there's a new sheriff in town. As funny as it sounds, and he's going to make sure that the people that need the help get the help. And I don't know about you, but living in this country where anything can go to crap at any moment, it makes me feel really good that there's a president and a vice president, at least in that White House, that I know care about more than just themselves and their pocketbook or their very corrupt family. So it makes me feel very, very good about what he did and what he stands for. And going into California, knowing that that's hostile territory for him, knowing that a lot of the people that he might be, although the Palisades, I know they tend to go a little bit more conservative, still going into an area where a lot of those people didn't even vote for him. But yet he's there to help because he doesn't care about party affiliation. He doesn't care about lines. Doesn't care about any of that. He cares about the American people. That's you and that's me. He cares about our rights. He cares about our freedoms. And he cares about what tomorrow looks like. And what country is he leaving to his kids, to his grandkids? That's what he cares about. He's a man that's passionate about the American way. He's a man that's passionate about what this country has done for him and for his family. And he's going to do his part over the next 4 years to ensure that continues to go, that we continue to grow, to succeed, and that we become the power that we once were. Again, my name is Andrew Maines. This was the 425 podcast. I thank you so much for joining me. And if you have the opportunity, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, share this with a friend or with a family. We'll be here more often to do this, just to share our voice and to let everybody know that if you have a voice, share it and make sure everyone around you knows what it is to be American. Thank you.